I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational, but that just wouldn't be our style.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it.
SportsTownChicago.com. Lombard, part of the P On Air network and available on the TuneIn app.
Hell yeah.
Broadcast home for your Windy City Bulls and the Chicago Dogs. We're in a league of our own. Now, here's your SportsTownChicago.com scoreboard update.
At 5 o'clock on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, I am your host, Mike Napolitano, with your SportsTownChicago.com update powered by the Illinois Media School. If you're interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com. No Chicago teams in action today, but moves are being made at Hallis Hall. It was announced just yesterday that the Bears have hired Detroit Lions offensive coach Ben Johnson as their new head coach. Johnson, the offensive coordinator, will become the 19th head coach in the Bears' 105-year history. Rumors from ESPN's Adam Schefter, who broke the news of the hiring, also say that Johnson is looking at former New Orleans Saints coach Dennis Allen to become the new Bears defensive coordinator. There are 13 candidates in total that could be on that list. Many reports out of Detroit said that a big part of the Lions' divisional round playoff loss can be attributed to some of the coaching staff, such as Johnson being preoccupied with interviews for job positions with other organizations. The Bears conducted their interview with Johnson on January 11th during the Lions' first round bye, but arguments from Lions fans and insiders say that this was still a distraction, and Johnson, as well as others, did not come prepared for their January 18th matchup with the Washington Commanders. Chicago interviewed 17 candidates for its head coaching vacancy. 3 interviews were conducted in person with former Commanders Carolina Panthers coach Ron Rivera, former Dallas Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy, and current Tennessee State coach Eddie George. This has been your SportsTownChicago.com update, brought to you by the Illinois Media School. If you are interested in a career in media, go to beonair.com.
Here to center for Taves. You got a breakaway. Taves to win the game. Hawks win. Hawks win. Jonathan Taves.
It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. Call your sons. Call your daughters. Call your friends. Call your neighbors. Mark has a perfect game going to the night. Trying to get over there. The Bulls win at the buzzer. Lions face it and play by line. Mercy. He goes. Point to go. It's a game. 2-on-1 hustling back and forth shot. Open. Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th championship and it's their second three-peat. Alexei! Yes! 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 History! To the net, they score! It's in! They score! The Hawks win the Stanley Cup! The Hawks win the Stanley Cup! McGraw picks up the middle of the impact pass. Goes out! Out! A White Sox winner! And a world championship! The White Sox have won the World Series and they're mobbing each other! Pennington, Kurashev plays the repart down low. Bedard scores! Unbelievable! Connor Bedard! Dude, that was insane.
Another Tuesday, another edition of Sports Talk here on SportsTownChicago.com. So that means another episode of Mike on the Mic. Before we jump in, I just want to remind you that you can follow me, Mike Napolitano, on X. That's at MikeNapoletano, Mike _ on Instagram, and Mike Napolitano 5 on Snapchat. SportsTownChicago.com and the Illinois Media School are all on X and Instagram, so you can find them there while you're at it. We have a lot of football news to get to today. It has been a busy week here in Chicago just alone. In January, so that means the NFL playoffs are in full effect, and that means we have a lot of scores to go over. had a national championship college football the other. A whole lot of college on here, but I know I previewed it last week, so we might as well give you the scores of probably one of the biggest games in the football world. But let's get ahead of ourselves, jump right into the Bears hiring Lions offensive Ben Johnson. Now, I don't think this was a surprise to anyone. If they looked at the list of names that were up for potential coaches for this Bears team going forward, they made a list. A couple issues that I talked about, I believe, on the show last week. You fired Matt Eberflus back in November, the day after Thanksgiving. So why did it take 6 weeks to make a list of 13 to 15 candidates in order to narrow it down into days? I mean, you heard in the opening, in the whatchamacallit, I was talking about the SportsTownChicago.com update that the Bears also interviewed with Ron Rivera, Mike McCarthy, and of all Tennessee State coach Eddie George. I don't think that one was anybody's wheelhouse, or they thought George would have been a name that the Bears would have brought to the mix here. So I mentioned that in the cold open, but of course the Bears narrow it down and hire who everybody thought was going to receive the position in the first place. That's offensive coordinator. Former offensive coordinator now for the Lions, Ben Johnson. Ryan Poles was quoted, diverse group. This will be different backgrounds from offense, defense, special teams, college, pro. We're turning every stone to make sure we're doing this the right way. There's going to be some names that you don't expect that are going to surprise you because we're deeper than we ever have before. Now, I've criticized Ryan Poles and the entire Bears front office on this show before. This is a step in the right direction. And whether or not you Ryan Poles, whether or not you were one of those in the beginning that said, it's Ryan, trust the process, and he's going to get us to the promised land. And then you saw what transpired this calendar year for the Bears. Then immediately you changed opinions and said, fire Poles. Maybe you were completely still bought in to Ryan Poles despite this bad juju. This whole past calendar year, you said he's not the guy, and here's the proof. And this is why. Ryan Poles is human, just like the rest of us. I will say, is they've done a lot of double talk in the last year. Let's forget our history. Oh, we need to remember our history. We love Matt Eberflus. We need to part ways with Matt Eberflus. And then George McCaskey, 6 weeks after firing Matt Eberflus and the end of the season post-season press conferences, he's out and says, I want to thank Matt Eberflus. How about you thank your head coach first and foremost, but I digress. All of that said, this Eddie George, Tennessee State head coach, that the Bears talked to, that is putting your money where your mouth is. That is Bears actually doing what they say they're going to do. Now, that doesn't mean Ben Johnson is the right move. I think it's probably the best move that this Bears team could make. He has not head coached an NFL team. He has not been the head coach alone any coach of the Bears team. He's gotten a good look at this Bears team from being. We also have to take into account the fact that the Lions ultimately choked in these playoffs, and we're gonna talk about that game in just a moment. But the Lions did not come prepared in the divisional round And a lot of it has to do with that entire coaching staff, but importantly, the offense. And whose job was that? Ben Johnson. He was busy interviewing, supposedly. So can he focus here in Chicago? Can he take on both the offensive coordinator role? There will be an offensive coordinator. I'm sure Johnson will have a lot to say what goes on with this offense. The numbers, though, Johnson, their offensive game, 28.2. That was first in the NFL. Yard touchers he has actually. That's an advanced stat. I will have to do my research on that one, but 67%, that is also first in the NFL. So the numbers look good. Let's into it. Goff had a 4-63 in Johnson's first season as offensive coordinator. Largely due to limited the amount of sacks off, increased by percent. 21. That sounds like a small 47, just a point higher than Jared Goff. And if you look at the two quarterbacks side by side, I believe the ceiling is Meyer Williams. Now, he is in a tough organization. Being a Chicagoan, being a Bears, and being abroad, I want to have to call them a tough organization.
telltale signs of being wasted. He starts flexing for the camera. He refers to his muscles as gunboats. He screams, "How's this for a half?"
Tell if you've had way too many to drive. But what if you've had just one too many to drive? Never underestimate just a few. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Ad Council, and this station.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and Windy City News Radio.
The Illinois Center for Broadcasting is now the Illinois Media School. We've been an institution in the Chicagoland area now for 30 years. Because the broadcasting world is always changing, so are we. Not only are we teaching radio and television production, but now you can learn all aspects of the media industry, like web design. You can even specialize in TV or film, sports broadcasting, and even sales. No matter where you are in the Chicagoland area, we have a campus near you. The Illinois Media School. Be on TV, be on radio, beonair.com.
Maybe that was money. Tell me that wasn't money.
Yo, check us out. We are the go-to guys. I'm your boy Space.
I'm your boy MC.
Check us out every Thursday
from 4 to 5 p.m.
We spitting all facts, all sports, all day.
Yes, sir. Who else you gonna go to in the clutch?
Lillard, long range three, and it's good!
Keeping you up to date with all the latest sports news.
We are
the go-to guys.
Where else you gonna get all your sports news from?
You know,
SportsTownChicago.com.
St. Patrick's Day, the only day of the year that it's okay to not boo the Boston Celtics.
I will show you mercy.
SportsTownChicago.com.
What's up, sports fans? I'm Mike Napolitano, and you're listening to Mike on the Mic right here at SportsTownChicago.com and the TuneIn Radio app. Now back to the show. All right, well, so we have more football going on as the NFL playoffs rage on, and some national championship news that I will talk about. But the craziest stat of them all, let's be frank, is the fact that the teams who had the most yards in this past weekend's games were the teams that fell short in the actual scoreline. So suddenly, it doesn't matter how many yards you get, which seems so backwards to me. You had the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Houston Texans. Those yards, Houston, the Texans. You know who won the game? The Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think that was a big surprise to too many people. Well, the one that was a surprise, the Lions and the Washington Commanders. Detroit had the most yards. You know who came out on top in an upset? The Commanders. Interesting. Well, of course, surely the LA Rams had the most yards and they won the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Nope. They had the most yards, not the most points. And then, of course, the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, this game probably could have easily been a conference matchup, or even, say, if they were in other conferences, the Super Bowl matchup. However, these two teams unfortunately met in the first. Fortunately, but unfortunately, one team to be packing it up. They should have. Baltimore had the most yards in this game, and yet the Bills still won. Now, it's not unheard of that a team gets the most yards in a game and still comes up short. But for all four teams in this divisional round who had the most yards to all lose those games, that's insane. That's crazy to me. But let's break it down. First and foremost, you had the Chiefs going up against the Texans. The Chiefs took a lead early on in the first quarter with a field goal, but the Texans tied things up. They held the Chiefs to just one more field goal. Going into the second quarter, though, it was when Kareem Hunt would open things up for the Chiefs and make it a 13-3 ball game. Then a 48-yarder from Kami Fairbairn, and the Texans would crawl back a little bit. They would get one more touchdown to make it a 13-12 game, but the extra point failed. So the Chiefs still had the lead 13-12, but then it was all Chiefs from there on out. Two more touchdowns, one from Travis Kelce, one from Harrison. I'm sorry, that was a field goal from Harrison Butker, and that puts the Chiefs at 23. They would manage to force the Texans out of their own end zone towards the end of the game, so it was a safety. I'm sorry, the Texans did. So your final score, 23-14. Chiefs come out on top. I don't think anybody was too pleased other than Chiefs fans throughout the country. Nobody is yet to slay the dragon here. But then we move along to the second game on Saturday night, which was the Washington Command and the Detroit Lions. Detroit takes an early 7-0 with Jahmyr Gibbs' 1-yard rush. To be expected, Lions take this game early. Zane Gonzalez hits a 45-yard goal to bring the Commanders back within a score and put them on the board in general. Then they take the lead with a Brian Robinson touchdown. Sam Laporta answers, so that puts the Lions back on top 14-10. However, Terry McLaurin, a 58-yard pass from Jaden Daniels, and that puts Washington back up top 17-14. That was where they started to run away with things at first. A Martin 40-yard action allows Washington to score another touchdown. So now it's a 10-point game. Jamison Williams, he goes on a 61-yard rush to score a touchdown for Detroit. But then it is Washington's game from there and out for the most part. Zach Ertz finds the end zone on a 5-yard pass from Jay Daniels. That makes it a 10-point game again. Jahmyr finds the end zone, bringing the Lions back within a score. But then two more touchdowns from Washington, one from Brian Robinson Jr. and one from Jeremy. Both of those were 1-yard rushes. That brings Washington's point total to 45. This Lions defense gave up 45 points in a game. Meanwhile, Lions themselves sitting at 28. They were able to make one more field goal, but that's just not enough. 45-31, and just like that, the Lions are out of these. So a team that everybody had pretty much pegged to go to Super Bowl or at least the conference championships. At the very least, the first seed, they had a bye during the wild card round. The Commanders, who are they? They are the lowest seed in these playoffs. In fact, they also have one of the worst records of the remaining teams. And yet, as the 6th seed, they're able to knock off Lions. The Commanders 12-5 during the regular season. The Eagles were 14-3. That's who they will match up against. Get into that matchup. The Chiefs, they're 15-2, and the Bills are 13-4. But if you look at some of those other teams in that first round, the divisional round, the only team really that has fewer wins than the Commanders are the 10-7 Rams. And I believe the Texans were also Texans were 10-7. But what a way to go out if you are. That is just tough. So we move on to Sunday game, the first of the two being the Eagles versus the Rams. And in that game, it was Eagles early on, but they didn't get the extra point. So LA took the lead with a Tyler Higbee yard pass, and that put LA in front for a little. Saquon Barkley, a 62-yard rush. He would have a day. He would go on later to have a 78-yard rush down. That would put the Eagles up 28-15, and basically this one, LA kind of dominated the majority of the middle portion of this game, second and third quarter, but most of them were field goals. So not able to actually find the end zone, and they just can't build up enough points in order to surpass the huge first quarter that the Eagles had 12 points in fourth. The Rams also did get a safety on this Eagles team to bring them within. That was interesting. 2 safeties in this division round. Don't really see a whole lot of safeties in the NFL, especially with the new kickoff rules. But yeah, we see the Rams try to pull in one in this game, making it 16-15. But just I did find the zone at the very end of the game. That was Colby Parkinson from Matthew Stafford, but it's not quite enough. 28-22 is your final in favor of Philadelphia, and they are moving on to the conference on those standards. The fourth and final game, as I mentioned, Bills-Ravens, that should have been matchup we see much later in these playoffs. Unfortunately, it's not. Two teams go head to head. You have Lamar Jackson versus Josh, and probably the best quarterbacks in the second quarter, dropping 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen both times, a 1-yard rush, and then a 4-yard rush. You first touchdown for Ray Davis, Rashad downs, but that was just the Ravens trying to keep pace with this tough Bills team. In the third quarter, they pull within a score with another Justin Tucker field goal. It was a 47-yard attempt. And then Derrick Henry, you can't stop him. He finds the end zone on a 5-yard rush. However, Baltimore decides to try to go for 2 in order to bring this game tight, and the 2-point pass conversion failed. Now, keep that in mind for later in the game, because the Bills would rely on Tyler Bass for a 51-yard field goal and a 21-yard field goal in the fourth quarter to give the Bills space to take the command lead in this 27-19. But here comes the final drive on the a 2-point conversion. 2-point pass conversion. Isaiah Likely was the Mark Andrews for the 2-point conversion. He already had 3 fumbles in the game. It was snowing out, bad weather, but this pass goes right into his midsection.
outdoor seating area to help social distance, and I get to enjoy my breakfast out Roselle Road.
Hello?
It's speed walking day.
Dorothy? You're breaking up.
Did I mention we'd be slowing down when we pass the court where those fine brothers play ball?
I heard that.
Reduce your risk of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Get active, eat right, and maybe even run into Mr. Right. Isn't sisterhood beautiful? For more information, go to everydaychoices.org. Brought to you by the American Cancer Society, the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association, the Ad Council, and this station.
Alert! Alert! Be gone, maxed out credit cards, overdue loans, suffocating interest rates, and relentless collection agencies. If your credit rating is making you and others around you cringe, there's only one thing to do, and that's to turn to the professionals at Creative Credit Solutions. Even if your credit is less than perfect, we'll help you get back on track. You can do it, and we can help. Call today or visit creativecreditsolutions.net for your free credit check report.
Blow the whistle on SportsTownChicago.com. Mondays and Fridays from 2 to 3 p.m. as we talk NFL.
The game plan was really sound.
The quarterback league. It has been. It still is.
Franchise-defining quarterbacks.
College football.
Will Jim Harbaugh make it through the season as Michigan's head coach?
Some more Big Ten talk.
And here's some things you wouldn't expect.
I would have never expected that.
Get all of that and more on Blow the Whistle on SportsTownChicago.com.
Testing. Is this thing on? Hello? Can you hear me? Guys? Somebody help. Hello?
Now back to Mike on the Mic on SportsTownChicago.com and Twitch. All right. Well, we are through our football news for the week, which means we are going to be jumping right into our Bulls talk. Bulls, favorable week this past week. We left off with them going up against the Atlanta Hawks on the Wednesday following our previous Mike on the Mic show. That was a game in which the Bulls probably wanted to answer back to the last time they played the Hawks, in which the Bulls allowed 50 points to be scored in the fourth quarter against this Hawks team. Unfortunately, the Bulls did not do any answering back in this game. They lost 110-94, giving up 27, 34, 25, and 24, respectively, to the Atlanta Hawks. They didn't give up a 50 in the fourth quarter, but it was Bulls that were held in the fourth quarter. That's just as bad. 16 put up in that final stretch. That can't happen. Kobe White had a high of 16 points. He could have had all 16 points in that fourth quarter. Nikola Vukovic, 16 rebounds. I believe that is a season high for Vukovic. And then Clean led in assists with 7. However, it was much for this Hawks team, and the Bulls fall in another one. They fall to 18-23. So how it's been going for this Bulls team, though, is you win one, you lose one, you lose one, you win one, right? Well, that was not the case. That would mark a 3-game losing streak, which would extend after the Bulls play a struggling Charlotte Hornets, a 105-123 final. And the Bulls are knocked off at home against a Charlotte Hornet team on a 26 point. Miles Bridges had 21 for this Hornets squad, who just barely hits double-digit wins. I mean, that can't happen. That's unbelievable. You got to defend home court. You can't be losing games to a team like this. You're 8-15 at home. The Hornets are only 4-15 on the road. Nikola Vukovic dropped 40 points in this game. He also had 13 rebounds again. And Zach LaVine, he led in assists once again. That's with 8. but it was LaMelo Ball, not Lonzo Ball, LaMelo Ball on the Charlotte side of things. 26 points and 9 assists, which both led the Hornets. And Mark Williams, he was the leader in rebounds with 19. I mean, just if Vooch is dropping 40 points and the Bulls had 42 points in the second quarter alone, how is it that you are losing games? How? Tell me. 20 points put up in the fourth quarter for this Bulls team? I mean, this is just unbelievable. Vucevic missed a three-point attempt with 6 seconds left, and then Levine missed a shot off the rebound. Otherwise, the Bulls would have tied this and gone to overtime. But what are we talking about here? Going to overtime with a Charlotte Hornets team? I understand there are certain teams that may just have your number. The Bulls went to overtime with Charlotte on Monday, December 30th, and they won that game in Charlotte in overtime, 115 to 108. But you get another opportunity to face this struggling Hornets team, and it's at home, and you, no pun intended, drop the ball. Charlotte wanted it back. Charlotte wanted this game more than the Bulls did. The Bulls fell asleep at home. That would bring the losing streak to 4 straight games. And oh boy, let's go on the road out west, and the Bulls would lose to the Portland Trailblazers. That was 113 to 102. A Trailblazers team that is 14 and 28 after this game. What good is there to talk about the Bulls these days? Well, they had a better fourth quarter. They were still outscored in the fourth quarter by 1. They only dropped 19 points in the second quarter compared to Portland's 31. When teams like Portland are outscoring you in a quarter, taking the lead back on you, I mean, you can't expect to win him. Zach LaVine, 27 points. Vucevic led in both rebounds and assists, 11 and 7. What else can I say about this team? There are going to be a lot of shakeups at the trade deadline here for this Bulls team, as they are filled with quote-unquote stars and yet can't get the job done. Cannot produce, cannot have consistency, cannot win games, cannot play as a team, can't string together win. I mean, I can go on. We just don't have the time. The Bulls had the time yesterday, Monday, with a 112-90 victory over the Los Angeles Clippers. I do not like this new Clippers logo, how it looks on here. I know it looks probably a little on the jerseys. It's kind of just a step down from what they've had before. You had the Bulls posting 25, 23, 36, and 28 in the quarters, respectively. They did hold Los Angeles, who is a good team, 24 and 18, basically the reverse record from all the teams you've played this past week. You held them to 18 in the first quarter and 16 in the third quarter. Now, you did give up 32 and 33 in the even quarters. However, you held the Clippers below triple digits in this one and got the win. The last time that the Bulls held a team to below 100 points and got the win, Friday, December 13th against Charlotte. Now, the last time the Bulls did this, a winning team, a team with an above 500 record. Well, let's just double these days. Well, okay, at the time they were 3-2 when the Bulls held them to 99 points at win. But now the Orlando Magic are 23 and 21. So they're just above 500. So I guess you could consider that game early on in the season against the Magic the last time the Bulls held a team to below 100 points and still got the win. All of those facts considered, the Bulls have only done it 3 this year. And this game against the Clippers was the third time. That was kind of incredible. Levine with 35 points on the evening. Josh Giddey in both rebounds and assists with 10 and 9 respectively. And that puts the end cap on the Bulls week. 19 and 25 is the Bulls record as they look ahead at this next week going forward. Before we get into that, let's take a look at the standings. Oh, yep, there they are. Chicago at dead last in the Central, 19 and 24, 32 basketball right now. They are 18 games back of the 36 and 6 Cleveland Cavaliers. But going forward for this schedule, the Bulls won't play again until Thursday night. That is at 9 p.m. in Golden Meet to face the Warriors. Saturday at home against the Philadelphia Sixers at 7. And then Denver at home on Monday at 7 p.m. All three of those games can be found on Chicago Sports Network or AM 670 The Score. Right. That's enough talk about this Bulls team. We kind of already went over the injuries. Everything seems to be day-to-day. So why don't we switch gears and talk a little hockey before we go here. We won't have time for baseball today, but we will be able to, talk free agency next week, I guess. Everything and more right here on Sportstown Chicago. Mike on the mic.
This is your home for sports.
Longtime fan.
Sports is like life. SportsTownChicago.com.
What's up, Chicago? If you're ever, and I mean, out looking for urban food 24/7, come to White Palace Grill, located 1159 South Canal, Chicago. White Palace 365 days a year since 1930. The first of the state. But whether you like burgers for breakfast, steak for lunch, or French toast for dinner, White Palace is the place for you. The diner is a 24-hour urban oasis. Come now, come later. Hey, come now and later. We never close at White Palace Grill, located 1159 South Canal Street in Chicago. Visit us at whitepalace.com or order with Uber Eats or Grubhub anytime, any day.
Daddy, when you look at me, I could see your wheels turning. About what am I going to be when I grow up? A Major League First baseman? Maybe a point guard for a national champion.
The odds of a child becoming a professional athlete are 1 in 16,000. Far-fetched? Maybe. But did you know the odds of a child being diagnosed with autism are 1 in 166? That's right, 1 in 166. To learn the signs of autism, go to autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Go to Lux Barbershop for the best barbers and stylists in Plainfield, Illinois. I go there when I have an important event. Date have you looking fresh and smooth. Lux Barbershop is open 7 days a week. Go to Lux Barbershop for the finest barbers, stylists, braiders, and massage therapists in the southern suburbs. Check out all their daily deals on Facebook, Instagram, and luxbarbershop.com.
Hi, this is Joe Perry and Steven Tyler of Aerosmith for Red. You know, it's okay to rock and roll and party down. Just don't get in that 2,000-pound bullet when you're done and cocked. And please don't drink and drive. I'm the one that jaded you.
A reminder that friends don't let friends drive drunk. A public service message brought to you by the Ad Council, U.S. Department of Transportation, National Association of Broadcasters, and RAD.
The Chicago Dogs are back on SportsTownChicago.com. Tune in to the season opener against the Sioux City Explorers, Friday, May 28th at Impact Field in Rosemont. First pitch at 7:05 p.m. Hear all the action right here on SportsTownChicago.com.
All right, well, we have just a little for me to tell you about the Blackhawks week in sports here. The Blackhawks actually played a lot better, and I think a lot of that was because of the fact that they played tougher teams. I know, still not making any sense. However, the Blackhawks, we left off with a 5-2 loss to Calgary. Well, they were mimicking the Bulls with a long losing streak. Theirs did not hit 5, but it hit 4 when they commenced on the quote-unquote dad and mentor trip, which was weirdly enough just a one-game road trip to Nashville and then coming back home to face Vegas. So Thursday in Nashville, the Blackhawks played better. However, they once again blew a 2-1 lead. Steven Stamkos actually starts this game out with his 15th of the year on the power play for Nashville. But then it's Connor Bedard getting his 13th goal of the season, which marks his 100th point of his career. So congratulations to Connor Bedard as he now actually, no, wait, we already hit 100 points. What am I saying? That was the game before that. Tyler Bertuzzi acted on a number of goals thus far this year. Then Alec Martinez puts the Blackhawks up with his second of the year, second Blackhawks goal of the night. It is 2-1 Blackhawks. However, they allow Philip Forsberg to score with only minutes to go in the third, and this game will have to get settled in extra time. Overtime doesn't allow any Blackhawks goals or Predators goals, so we'll head to the shootout. And unfortunately, he's had a decent stint recently in net. However, the Blackhawks have seen their goaltender Arvid Soderblom in 3 shootouts this year. He has faced 9 shots in those shootouts. He has not saved a single one of them. So the Predators get goals from Gustav Nyquist, Ryan O'Reilly, and Steven Stamkos in the shootout. The Blackhawks do get a goal from Tavo. However, Connor Bedard's wrist shot is saved by UC Saros, and that was all that the Predators needed in order to solidify the extra point in this one. Preds win 3-2 in a shootout and take the lone away game on the Dads and Mentors trip. However, the Blackhawks did get a chance to come back home on Saturday and play a very tough Vegas team. The Blackhawks hounded Vegas in the end of that first period. It was Victor Olofsson who started off the scoring. It was Lucas Reichel, Tyler Bertuzzi, Taylor Hall, all scoring within a matter of 3 minutes and 42 seconds. The final goal coming at the 1942 mark, so just before the intermission. And that was a dagger for Vegas as the Blackhawks take a 3-1 lead into the intermission. That, of course, is erased all alone by Shea Theodore and Thomas Hertl. Hertl gets both goals, his 14th and 15th of the year. The 15th came on a power play. Shea Theodore gets his 33rd and 34th assists of the season. So it is once again a tie game. You're starting to feel this Black lead and this team and this energy slip away when Seth Jones scores his 4th goal of the season. So number 4, and it makes this game 4-3. Connor Bedard gets the assist, and so does Frank Nazar. Connor Bedard's 28th assist, Nazar's 3rd. And then in the third period, the Blackhawks get a little bit of insurance early on, only 4:08 into the third period. Tyler Bertuzzi's 16th of the year. That's a power play goal. And all the Blackhawks have to do is not blow that 2-goal lead going into the final 16 minutes of that game. They hold on and win this one 5-3. I know, unheard of. The number 1 star of the game, Seth Jones with 1 goal and 2 assists. Tyler Bertuzzi comes in at number 2 with 2 goals and no assists. It has the flip side, no goals and 2 assists. So the Blackhawks get a much-needed win on home ice to stop the losing streak. However, I was in attendance last night against the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Blackhawks unfortunately fell 4-3 in overtime. Another game in which they had the lead. The Blackhawks actually score first with Philip Kurashev's first goal since, get this, November 10th, 11-10. And he's finally on the board again. He doubles the Blackhawks lead with his 17th of the year. And next thing you know, the Blackhawks have a 2-goal lead going into the second period. However, Seth Jarvis shorthanded throws a dagger in these Blackhawks plans. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, he scores to tie things up, and you start to feel this Blackhawks team slipping just a little bit. Ryan Donato, though, gets a beautiful feed from Taylor Hall for his 14th of the year, and that puts Chicago back on top. But it's the captain, Jordan Staal, finding a loose puck in the crease after Peter Mrazek thought he had that one on lock. There's a whistle from the referee. Mrazek and the Blackhawks defense did not move. Jordan Staal just kind of sidesteps the goaltender down in the butterfly and puts this puck home. One of the toughest goals that you will see for this Blackhawks team. I mean, that's one that the entire team wants back, not just Peter Mrazek. And then this game has to be decided in overtime, but 59 seconds into the extra frame, and it's a beautiful cross-ice pass from Martin Necas. Started from Ben Aho, puts home a winner. Blackhawks do get a point, just like they did in that Nashville game, but they fall 4-3. So, of the 3 games this week, the Blackhawks get 4 of a possible 6 points. Can't be too mad going into this next week. Well, it's a lighter week. The Blackhawks will play Tampa Bay at home Friday night. So no game until Friday at 7 p.m. That'll be on ESPN+. Then Sunday, it'll be the Blackhawks Hockey Fights Cancer Night. You can get a giveaway purple and white beanie or toque, however you want to call it. That'll be against Minnesota at 6 p.m. on ESPN+, or Tuesday, January 8th, after another edition, right as another edition of Mike on the Mic ends at 6 p.m. in Tampa Bay to face the Lightning, also on ESPN+. You can find all 3 of these games also on Chicago Sports Network or on WGM 720 AM. But that is week for your Blackhawks, your Bulls, your Bears, and everybody else in between as far as playoff football. We'll be back next week with some information on MLB free agency and where else you can find me. Actually, you know what? I don't know if we're going to be back next week, and I'll tell you why. Because as you can see from the broadcast, it has gone down here. We don't have my logo, the one that Emma made for us, Emma Parker, the Mike on the Mic logo. We're not able to switch from different screens, so you see me getting up and going over there. The stream deck's not working. The stream both on YouTube and on Twitch keep dropping. I don't know if you want this quality more, so what I will tell you is if you want all of this information and more, you head on over to WRMN's YouTube or AM 1410 on your dial. On Saturday mornings, you will hear On the Rise with myself and Derek Geyer from 8 to 10 a.m. From 10 to noon, you'll hear Marcus the Truth about college sports. You'll be able to get Blackhawks, Wolves, Steel, City Bulls, Chicago Bulls, fantasy football, Boomers, Cougars, maybe a little bit of the Dogs, as well as White Sox and Bears from Chicago Sports. The WRMN crew is now partnered through Good Karma Brands with ESPN 1000 and Chicago White Sox. So you will hear all of the White Sox games simultaneously broadcast on that station. I would go and tune in over there. It's not choppy. It won't drop the call on you. And it's a lot for there. We'll take ahead with setting that all up. So we'll see if Mike on the Mic is back here next week. I really don't know. In the meantime, there will be a Voodoo podcast drop. I'm wearing the new merch right now, and that is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. It feels like it's been forever since there's been a Voodoo podcast episode because we dropped it early December, and now this is going to be late January. But now there's also going to be a YouTube channel. You can watch the podcast. It is going to be a video podcast as well. We just got Carly Craig of Hell's House. She's also into skating, roller derby, and art, much, much more. A very diverse So what I'm looking for, guest on there, pleasure to talk to. But we also got some great content from the Chicago Haunt Builders Shindig this past weekend. Check that one out, as the January episode will be dropping by the end of the week. Stream Sports Midwest, Nihil Hockey will be covered on there. That was with myself, the voice of the Chicago Dogs, Aaron Shellen, Eric Willowhite, and Ethan Wiles. You can find that on the Stream Sports Midwest YouTube channel. That is going to be wrapping up here shortly as the Nihil season gets further along into playoffs, and the Blackhawks Championship held at the United Center in February, March. And the Divided Podcast and the Parlay, those are both of Tilo's podcasts. The Divided Podcast also has our buddy Grant G. Lead. That's on Spotify. You can also find the Parlay with Kendall Gill, who we just spoke to on WRMN's On the Rise. The Parlay has Kendall Gill and Tilo. That's on YouTube and Spotify. Kendall Gill has a number of funny stories from both his playing days and more on there. So go check that one out. If you need to get a hold of me while we were taking this Mike on the Mic hiatus, you can follow me on social media at Mike Napolitano on X, Mike_Napolitano on Instagram, Mike Napolitano5 on X, or just sportstownchicago.com on X and Instagram, and the Illinois Media School is there as well. But this is all of your Chicago sports news off football national championship for the week. Be sure to make it back over to WRMN, I guess. If we are back here, I don't know. I'll be posting on X for all that information. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope to be back on this microphone soon if the quality is back up to how it was in the past. I'm talking logos. I'm talking being able to switch the screen. I'm talking being able to have file structure sports.com.
This is your home for sports.
This is the best fans in the world. Are you ready for this? Valley View Automotive has all of the hottest SUVs you've been looking for. Enjoy a test drive and the opportunity to drive one of these powerful vehicles off the lot for half the price. Yes, half the price. Now's the time to get yourself to Valley View by car, on foot, or even by air to take advantage of this outrageous sale. You better get here quickly, because this promotion is only going on for 24 hours, and the automobiles are leaving the lot faster than you can say four-wheel drive. Valley View Automotive, a dealership you can depend on.
Hey, I'm Andy Griggs, asking you to help prevent domestic violence. Domestic violence isn't a woman's issue. It hurts all of us. Women are injured and killed every day by their husbands and boyfriends. So it's time for men to take action right now to teach boys that violence against women is wrong, to help prevent abuse before it starts. Call the Family Violence Prevention Fund at 1-800-END-ABUSE to get a free Take Action kit containing tips on what to say to boys. That's 1-800-END-ABUSE. Teach early.
Indeed is the #1 job search user with over 250 million monthly users. Indeed's priority is to help everyone in the job searching process to find a job by uploading 10 new job opportunities every 10 seconds worldwide. With Indeed, you have free access to job searches, resume uploads, and company researches. There are over 10,000 employees at Indeed that pursue to help people find the job they are looking for. They connect with millions of people to new opportunities. Go to Indeed.com and sign up for free and create a resume, and let Indeed do the rest to help you on your job search.
Hey, I'm Jesus Mauricio. Be sure to tune in every Friday to listen to Zeus Off the Bat, a baseball talk show from 1 to 2 p.m., where I'll be discussing and updating you on all things about baseball. News, predictions, reactions, and more about the Cubs, Sox, and everything across the league. Happens every Friday at 1 p.m. right here on SportsTownChicago.com. Don't forget to follow and share our Twitter and Instagram with your friends at Zeus Off the Bat. Zeus Off the Bat.